friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Thursday, December 10th. Today we are doing a book swap that I did and received, and I'll share that in a bit. But first I wanted to do 2 Among Us tags and a Among Us challenge. However, before all of that, I'm going to open the Book Gizmo gift of the day. So today is again day 10. Let's open it up. Okay, so we got a mug rug of the A Darker Shade of Magic series. It says Anash, and it's got gray London, red London, black London, and white London. If you aren't aware, the A Darker Shade of Magic series is one of my favorites of all time, and this is perfect for when you heat up a mug of hot cocoa or coffee or whatever warm drink you want. You can set it on here, and it's like basically a fabric coaster. So the reason I have 2 Among Us tags is because the very first Among Us tag that I became aware of and saw was done by my friend Eric at Break Even Books. But that tag was started by a bookstagram called the Glittery Bookworm. And the actual Among Us tag going around YouTube that a lot of people are doing was created by a booktuber called Paperback to Hardback. So because I saw Eric's first, I wanted to do that one, and then I saw the Paperback to Hardback one and I wanted to do that one, so I said, why not both, you know? So I've got those 2 tags, plus I came up with a little challenge of my own that we'll do at the end. If you aren't aware about what Among Us is, it is a multiplayer online game that you can play with your friends, and essentially you are on a space crew and you're running around a spaceship trying to perform tasks to allow the spaceship to keep running because it's like breaking down. So you're fixing electrical, you're fixing the navigation, the engine, all sorts of things to keep the spaceship running. And one person is running around killing people. You don't have the opportunity to talk to each other while you're doing tasks. However, if someone spots a dead body, you can call an emergency meeting and discuss who you think the imposter is. If you ever played Mafia when you were younger, it's very much like that, and I heard Eric reference it to a game called Werewolf, if you know what that is. So along those lines of someone is sneaking around doing bad things and you have to figure out who it is. It is so much fun. I play it almost every single night, and we do like game nights, and I definitely want to do those here, so let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But without further ado, let's get into the tags. I'm going to start with the one that was created by the Glittery Bookworm Bookstagram. It's 5 questions long, and the first question is Lobby, or the book that is next up on your TBR. For me, I'm reading 3 books right now. I'm reading an audiobook of Inheritance, which is the final book in the Aragon or Inheritance cycle. I'm reading the Queen of Shadows, which is the, I believe, 4th book, potentially 5th, depending on where you place the Assassin's Blade in the Throne of Glass series. And then I am also reading Wing, which is the 3rd and final book in the Black City trilogy by Elizabeth Richards. Up next, I'm hoping to pick up Addie LaRue. Finally, I really need to get to this one, even if I don't get to the others by this weekend, because I'm planning to have an Addie LaRue reading vlog go up next week, so stay tuned for that. Next is Crewmate, or Name an Author You Trust. I trust quite a few authors, but I'm going to name my top 4. My top 4 are Leigh Bardugo, who is the author of the 6 of Crows series / Grishaverse, V.E. Schwab, who is the author of the A Darker Shade of Magic / Vicious / The Savage Song / City of Ghosts / Addie LaRue. So very much trust V.E. Schwab's writing. And Nicki Preto, the author of Crown of Feathers, one of my favorites of all time, and I get to interact with Nicki on a personal level a lot, which is really fun. And finally, Brandon Sanderson. I haven't read any of Sanderson's adult works, but purely based on Skyward and Starsight, I already know I'm going to love his fantasy adult. Next is Imposter, or Name a book that betrayed you. For me, that would be Ejected. This is the 3rd book in the Divergent series. I read this in middle school and loved the whole series until the very end of Ejected. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but I'm sure most of you know. And what happens in this book makes me hate the entire series, to be honest. Next is Tasks, or a book that take you a while to finish. For me, that was Circe. You guys kind of saw throughout my reading vlogs that Circe took me, I think, 3 months to finish. And it wasn't for lack of trying, and it wasn't for lack of interest either. I really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. It is the backstory on Cersei. There's so much emotion and depth and detail, and I loved it so much. I have no idea why it took me so long to read. I was just in a really bad reading slump for the past 2 or 3 months. I'm still kind of in that reading slump, but this was a phenomenal book, and even though it took a while to read, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. Final question for this tag is Sabotage. Name a book that surprised you. For me, that was The Beautiful by Renee Attier. I've talked about this on my channel before, but I was fully intending to not enjoy this book. I was just going to read it because I'm doing a series where I'm going to rate each of the books in a year from book boxes, and this was one of them from Fairy Loot, so I of course needed to read it. I was fully expecting to unhaul it as soon as I was done. I didn't even buy the sequel special edition because I was like, there's no way I'm going to like this, and boy was I wrong. This is the story of Celine, who is a French Asian seamstress, and she is escaping something that happened to her and escapes to New Orleans. So it's a 19th century romance murder mystery, and it's fantastic. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the paperback to hardback book tag for the Among Us book tag, and this one has 10 questions. So the very first question is Crewmate, a book that you want all of your friends to read. And I mean, I'm forever going to recommend Crown of Feathers. I would recommend Six of Crows, but it's already so hyped that it really doesn't need me to recommend it anymore, but I guess Six of Crows as well. But Crown of Feathers is one of my all-time favorite books, and it's essentially Mulan mixed with Aragon, in which Veronica, all she wants to do is be a phoenix rider, but the phoenix population has been depleted, and the only clan left is only accepting boys into their ranks. So Veronica disguises herself as a male to join the phoenix riders. This is a triple point of view, and we're also following Seb, who is a soldier kind of in disguise, and then also Tristan, who is the son of the Phoenix Riders commander or chief or whatever we want to call him. I think it's commander, and he's trying to live up to his father. Next is Imposter, a book whose cover does not match what's inside. I struggled to find one for this one, but I eventually came up with A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I fully intended this to be a fantasy, and although I haven't read it, I have been informed that it is in fact not a fantasy. It is a contemporary, I believe, and I'm pretty sure, again, I haven't read it, so don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure the reason that there's like mermaid or siren type people on the front is because the main character is part of a TV show in which she plays a siren. Could be wrong, but I believe that's why. But doesn't this look like a fantasy? Next is Red Sus, because you know, red is always sus, or suspicious if you don't know what sus means. Anyways, this is to choose a book with red on the cover and or red in the title. And it says mostly red, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit. This one isn't necessarily mostly red, but it's pretty heavily red, and it's Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova. I have not read this book, but I don't know why I haven't read it. I'm so excited to read this one. It sounds so good. This book is insanely gorgeous. And here's just a brief little snippet. It says, I'm Renata Convita. I've lived 100 stolen lives. Now it's time to live my own. And I don't know. I just really want to read it. Next is Tasks, or a book that felt like a chore to finish. And I can tell you right now, reading The Inheritance Cycle, each book has become progressively harder to read and more of a chore to finish. It's still better than the one book that I DNF'd that we'll get to later, but it is still insanely hard or difficult to get through. But I'm pushing through, and it's starting to pick up again finally. So I have about 3 hours left, I believe. So once that's done, I am done with The Inheritance Cycle, and I can just be done. Next is discussion time. Name a book that you read and instantly or immediately needed to discuss with one of your friends. For me, that was the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. I read Scythe and immediately after forced my friend Callum to read it because I needed someone to talk to about it, and we both are obsessed with this series, and kind of spoilers for my end of year videos, but this is, I'm not gonna say where, but it is in the top 3. But if you don't know, Scythe tells the story of a world in which death has been eradicated except for if someone is killed by a scythe. And we are following 2 apprentice scythes who are pitted against one another, and only one can become a scythe and the other has to kill the other when they win. Next is Ejected, or a book that you unhauled right after reading it. For me, that was 100% The Time Traveler's Wife. The only reason I held on to it was so I could do my rant review on it, which I will post right there, or there, whichever side it is. But I severely disliked that book. It gave me such cringy vibes, and that's all I'm gonna say on it. Next is Sabotage, or a book that destroyed you emotionally. I'm not gonna delve too deep into this, but Crooked Kingdom, the sequel to Six of Crows. It got me. Next is the 12 colors. In the game, there is 12 colors you can choose from. Each person is their own color, and if someone else is, say, like cyan, which is my typical color, I cannot also be cyan. So there's only one color per person, but there are 12 colors to choose from. So this prompt was to find a book with at least 3 colors on the cover. And there was a challenge that you should try to find one with at least 6. But I think I found one with all 12. This is Furthermore by Tahara Mafi. I have not read this one, but I'm pretty sure it's about a land in which the more color you have, the more magic you have, and this girl is born completely colorless or something along those lines. Next is Defeat, or a book you DNFd. And as you saw in probably my most recent video or my unhaul, I ended up DNFing Ruthless Gods, which is the sequel to Wicked Saints. I really tried, I really wanted to like it. It sounded right up my alley, but I just could not get into it. And I don't want to waste my time trying to read that book over and over when I have over 300 books on my TBR waiting to be read. That is, I believe, the one and only book I've ever DNF'd, other than one between the first and second page. I don't even remember what this book was called, but by page 2 there had already been like 4 instances of them using the R word, and I just did not want to deal with that, so I ended up DNFing that one, but I don't really count that one because I didn't even really start it. And the final prompt for this tag is Victory, and that is to choose a book that was 5 stars for you. And for me, that was Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. This is a story of Kalia, who is a female magician, which is frowned upon in the society. So she, instead of following the rules, decides to join a competition to become the headlining act of the Conquering Circus. However, it is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, so mysterious things are happening, people are going missing, people are getting killed, and it's really, really good. And that is all for that tag, but I did want to do one more thing before I go. It's based on that 12 colors prompt. It enticed me to see if I could find a book from my bookshelves in each color. So I'm just gonna quickly run through these. These aren't necessarily books that I've read, but it's just a quick fun way to see what books I own in each of these colors. So first is red, so I picked up Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. Next is dark blue, so I chose The Devouring Gray by Christine Lynn Herman. This is pitched as Stranger Things-esque, so I definitely want to pick this one up soon. Next is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which is pitched as a I'm going to kill you to lovers trope. Next is Pink, which is Dangerous Alliance, and I believe that this is a Jane Austen inspired novel, so like a contemporary retelling. Next is Orange, and that is Queenie. Next is Yellow, which is Well Played, the sequel to Well Met, a Renaissance fair romance. Next is Black, which is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Next is White, All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. Next is Purple, or The Disasters by M.K. England. Then we have cyan, my typical color. If I don't get cyan, I usually do lime or yellow, but cyan is my favorite. And I chose Joe and Laurie by Margaret Stoll and Melissa De La Cruz, a retelling of Little Women. And finally is lime. This one was the hardest for me to find, so I ended up going with this. It is The Wicked Will Rise, a Dorothy Must Die book, and I chose this one for the spot. That was just a fun little challenge I did. It's not like a tag or anything, but I definitely, if any of you want to do either of these tags or even the challenge, consider yourself tagged right now. And without further ado, let's get into the book swap. Hi friends, it is now time for the book swap. This was hosted by Darling Disney Divas, and I will link all the participants down below. The goal of the swap was to swap one book. So mine arrived in the mail. It is in this bubble wrap, and on the front we have a note that says, "Hi, greetings from Tawana," I think that's how you pronounce it. "I saw you also love fantasy books, and although the movie is more kid-friendly, the book leans more to YA. Thought I shared one of my favorites. The chocolate bars are a staple here for making hot chocolate. I recommend adding a cinnamon stick while brewing." That sounds delicious. "Hope you have a fantastic holiday and enjoy your reading. Love, Steffi, Steffi in Wonderland." So let's open up and see what the book is. Okay, so it looks like Steffi got me Howl's Moving Castle. I've read this from the library before. I believe I read it as an audiobook, and I really enjoyed it, and I have seen the movie. It's very cute. So I do need to read it in a physical format because I remember the audiobook was a little bit hard to follow. So thank you for providing me that opportunity, Steffi. And then here is the chocolate she was talking about. So I guess you stick this in to create hot chocolate. And this came with a little note. We got another thing of chocolate. It says, "The old question, chocolate abuelita or chocolate Ibana?" Or Ibarra? I think it's Ibana. I like both, but abuelita is more popular. So I'm guessing that both of these are versions of hot chocolate, and I'm really excited to try this because obviously we don't have that here in the States, and it looks fun. Thank you so much, Steffi. I'm definitely gonna create some hot chocolate and curl up with Howl's Moving Castle, and it sounds like such a cozy afternoon or evening read. And now let's get back to the vlog. Welcome back, friends. I'm going to close out the vlog now, so check in tomorrow for my October haul. That will be going up tomorrow, so stay tuned. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you consider doing the tag as well. I thought it was really fun. If you're interested in Among Us Night, let me know down below. I do them for the position I'm in currently at my job, so I'm happy to do one for BookTube as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll check in with you tomorrow. Bye, friends.